Всем привет! Thank you so much for still being in this marathon, and I hope the videos so far were useful. So we actually have not that much left. We only have 6 videos left where I talk about the cases and 1 wrap-up kind of practice with cases kind of video. So only 7 of them still to go. And I kind of slowed down in video production because I got a little bit sick, but I think I'm back on track, so now the videos will be coming again every day. So today we're going to be working with the cases and kind of like think about it as like an extension pack for a board game. Because remember, at the beginning of this marathon, we worked through 3 basic, what I called basic contexts for each case, and then I said there is more context for each case. So in the videos, in the next 6 videos, this one and the next 5, I will kind of go very quickly over more contexts for each case. But again, just like extension packs keep coming up with the board games, for the board games, you know, there is more context for each case than I will be mentioning here. Okay, let's start working with nominative.
If you like it, please click like. If it's useful, drop a line. If you love it, hit subscribe. Like me, подпишись и комментарий напиши.
Okay, so here is the chart, and we will be working today with the именительный падеж, and that's nominative. Именительный падеж. And I will give you more context for nominative than just the 3 that we worked with, but I'm going to remind you that this is a little bit artificial because nominative in Russian is used with subjects. And really, all of the context that I present in this video just point to where the subject is. But in terms of kind of like grammatical role in the sentence, they're all the same to a Russian native speaker. But for learners, I found it useful to break it down in different contexts and remember these contexts with some additional information, and that way it will be easier for you to find what the subject is, because it's not always in one-to-one correspondence in Russian and in English. Okay, let's start. So the very first one, you already know. It's the subject of the action. So whoever does the action is the subject of a sentence, and it is nominative if you translate the sentence into Russian. So here we have, let's take a look at the English examples first. My mom works at a bank. Your brother is very cute. Kids are playing at the park. And here are the examples in Russian. Mama работает в банке. My mom works at a bank. Who works at a bank? My mom does, so she's the subject. Your brother is very cute is твой брат очень симпатичный. Now here you can kind of criticize me for including this sentence here, because in Russian there is no action verb. You have твой брат, your brother, очень симпатичный, very cute. There is no action verb. And I understand that, but I do include it here because if you look here at English, you have the action verb or the verb. Your brother is very cute, so you can apply the same logic. Who is very cute? Your brother is. Your brother is going to be the subject of a sentence, and it's going to be in nominative when we translate this into Russian. Now, I understand I'm not going with like super strictly according to like linguistic and grammatical rules, and that's okay. Like I found that sometimes if I simplify all these kind of like grammatical rules for my students, they remember them better. I don't know, maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't, but at least that's one way of presenting the cases. There are several methodologies that you can find online. Find your own, but hopefully this one will work too. And finally, дети играют в парке. Kids are playing at the park. Who's playing at the park? The kids are. So here we have дети. Now, I'm not going into verbs in this marathon at all. It really deserves its own marathon. So here I'm only focusing on the nouns. So just believe me about the forms of the verbs here. Okay, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. So here, everything is pretty straightforward. You can see in Russian and in English, the subjects are the same. Like we find them the same way, and they are the subject. They have the same role in the sentence. Okay, now let's take a look at the next one. Next context is very basic, and it's this is something. And you can see the asterisk next to this is because it can be it is, it can be this is, it can be that is, these are, or those are. And in Russian, it's all one word, это. это. And it's written with et o, but we pronounce it with the vowel reduction, so it's more like это, это. Now it's different from это as like this car, and I'll talk about it in a little bit more. So here I just want to point out again that it has to be the construction this is something, this is something, and that something has to be a noun, then that noun will be nominative. Let's take a look at the English translations first. This is my mom. This is their new computer. These are her kids. So in here are the Russian translations or sentences. Это моя мама. Это их новый компьютер. Это ее дети. And whatever you see in bold here is the subject of a sentence and is in nominative. So the next context is something I mentioned in one of these videos, and it's something that we learned very early on in Russian. And that's something is something and somebody is somebody. And please note that here we have two nominatives. Usually I say, and in several videos I said that once you found the subject of a sentence, you're done with nominative. Every other noun and pronoun and adjective will be in a different case. Sometimes it will look like nominative, but contextually it will not be the subject of a sentence. While here we have two equal things connected by the verb to be in the present tense. So something is something, somebody is somebody. And these both items describe the same person equally, and they're both nominatives. So here we have, my brother is a programmer, and this park is a beautiful spot in the city, or a beautiful place in the city. And here we have it in Russian. Мой брат – программист. Этот парк – красивое место в городе. Now I want to note that in the past and in the future, that second noun in the sentences will change to instrumental. Like, it doesn't happen with the context, this is something. You still can say, это был их новый компьютер. That was their new computer, and it still will be nominative. But when you have something is something, somebody is somebody, in the past and in the future, the verb to be, first of all, appears. It's был and будет, был for the past with all its forms, and будет with all its form for the future, but the second noun will turn into instrumental. So to say my brother was a programmer or will be a programmer, the programmer will be in the instrumental case. Мой брат был программистом. Or if you want to say this park was a beautiful spot in the city and now they, I don't know, destroyed it, so it's not there anymore. But to say it in the past tense, a beautiful place will be in the instrumental case. So этот парк был красивым местом в городе. But once again, I said I'm not going that much into verbs or like past verbs in the past and the future, but I want to mention it because here we have the change of the case. Then the next context is already familiar to you. It's something is somewhere. And we had several examples in our kind of like basic context chart. But here we have examples. В Москве красивые улицы. Ключ в сумке. There are beautiful streets in Moscow and the key is in the bag. Like whatever is somewhere is gonna be the nominative case and the subject of a sentence. Then the next context is actually similar to the English one. When something hurts, that something is the subject of a sentence. But again, let's take a look at the English examples. In English, you can say someone has a headache, someone has a tummy ache, while in Russian, even these words are replaced by something hurts. Now, there are different ways to, say, headache, but most of the time Russians use the verb болеть and the conjugated form. So, for example, if it's singular, голова болит, живот болит. But plural, ноги, руки болят. They hurt, just like in English, yeah? This hurts, these hurt. And it's very interesting that here, when something hurts, we use this у меня, у тебя, у моего брата, kind of like this person has that pain, or this person has this thing hurting. And that's basically it hurts by me or near me. So у меня болит голова, у меня болит живот, у меня болят ноги, or не болят. У меня не болит голова, не болит живот. Ноги не болят у моего брата. Okay, so in the next context is also something that you're familiar with, is whatever we have. Whatever we have is the subject of a sentence. So remember when we look at the English sentences of that type, it's whoever has something is the subject of a sentence. I have a brother. I, in English, is the subject of a sentence. My brother has wife and kids. Who has wife and kids? My brother does. That's the subject of a sentence. My parents used to have a big house. Who used to have a big house? My parents. They are the subject of a sentence. While in Russian, and you can see it in bold here, these are the words that are going to be the subject of a sentence in Russian, because whatever we have is the subject of a sentence. So in Russian it would be «У меня есть брат». У моего брата есть жена и дети. У моих родителей был большой дом. So брат, жена и дети, большой дом, these are the subject of a sentence because it's whatever these people have. Then the next context is actually very interesting. It's whatever we like or don't like with the verb нравится, because in Russian we have two ways to express liking something. That's the verb любить and the verb нравится. So when you use the verb нравится, whatever we like is going to be the subject of a sentence, and whoever likes something is going to be in dative. So you can see here we have мне, ему, нам, but what we like is actually the subject of a sentence. So similarly to how we had it a little bit illogical with whoever, or like whatever we have is the subject of a sentence, here whatever we like is the subject of a sentence. I like this house. He didn't like my dress. We like these courses or lessons. I, he, and we in English are the subject of a sentence. In Russian will not be if you use the verb нравится. So let's take a look at the Russian versions. Мне нравится этот дом. Ему не понравилось мое платье. He didn't like my dress. My dress is the subject of a sentence here. Нам нравятся эти курсы. Again, these lessons, these courses are the subject of a sentence. If you're familiar with German, there's a very similar construction. Mir gefällt. Mir gefällt dieses Haus. Like, I like this house. This house in German will be also the subject of a sentence, and whoever likes something will be in the dative case in German. So if you know German, you know, there is some similarity. Then the next context is whatever we need or don't need. And see how I actually said here, whatever we like or don't like, whatever we need or don't need. But here with whatever we have, I just said whatever we have, because whatever we don't have is not going to be nominative, but you will find out about it in my next video. Okay, let's go back to needing something, whatever we need or don't need. So once again, there is this kind of like illogical thing that whatever we need or don't need is the subject of a sentence. I need a new computer, their daughter needed a new jacket, the husband doesn't need a new coat, he needs money. Whatever is in bold here is going to be the subject of a sentence. So now let's take a look at the Russian sentences here. So I need a new computer is мне нужен новый компьютер. Their daughter needed a new jacket. Их дочке была нужна новая куртка. Please note how the past tenses form here. Next one is the husband doesn't need a new coat. Мужу не нужно новое пальто. He needs money. Ему нужны деньги. And I think you already noticed that we have a form of the verb asterisk. I'll talk about it in a second. That goes with the gender of the subject. Компьютер нужен. Куртка нужна. Пальто нужно. Деньги нужны. It's because in English, you use the verb to need something. In Russian, we use a short adjective. And adjectives, remember, they go with the noun in gender, in case, and number. So here we have a short adjective that goes with the noun in gender and number. So it's gender dependent and number dependent, meaning нужен, masculine, нужна, feminine, нужно, with the O at the end, neutral, and нужны, plural, depending on the subject of a sentence. Okay, Next is in comparisons with чем with subjects, like when you're comparing the subject to something. So first of all, let's again take a look at the English versions. Your house is bigger than my house. My sister is prettier than this actress. I ran faster than you. So as you can see, we're comparing the subject to somebody or something else. And if we use чем, then both of these will be nominative. Now, again, it will come with an asterisk. As you progress in Russian, you will see other contexts where it will not be nominative. For instance, I can be comparing «Мне этот дом нравится больше, чем тебе». I like this house more than you do. And remember, whoever likes something is dative, so the comparison with чем will follow that form. But if we're comparing the subjects, both of these items will be nominative. So to say your house is bigger than my house, both your house and my house will be nominative. Твой дом больше, чем мой дом. My sister is prettier than this actress. Моя сестра красивее, чем эта актриса. I ran faster than you. Я бегала быстрее, чем ты. For instance, back in the childhood, I was a faster runner than you. And I used the female form because I am a female. So here we have all of these forms that are involved in nominative case. Finally, the last context here, but not, overall the last context that you can use with nominative is the expression что за or что это за. And it's a colloquial expression that's like borderline standard. And it's used a lot as the replacement for what kind, which, what, and usually what we use it for is the adjective какой. Какой, какая, какое, какие. And что за or что это за is the synonym for какой, какая, какое, какие. So let's take a look again at English first. We have, what's your question? What kind of a person is your boss? What kind of a city is that? Or which city is that? All of these can be translated with какой. Какой у вас вопрос? Or какой у тебя вопрос? Какой человек твой начальник? Какой это город? Well, here we have the construction что за plus nominative. So за is a preposition. And usually nominative is never used with a preposition because preposition means some kind of a role in the context other than the subject. And за is such a versatile preposition, it really needs its own marathon, or at least its own video. But here it's part of что за or что это за, which just synonymous to какой. So we don't treat this за as a specific preposition that needs a case. We treat it as a construction or a chunk that replaces какой. And here all of these words are subjects, so that's why it goes with nominative. So какой у тебя вопрос is the same as что за вопрос у тебя. Какой человек твой начальник? Что за человек твой начальник? Какой это город? Что это за город? So as you can see, if we have more context, you don't need это. Что за вопрос у тебя? Что за человек твой начальник? But if we're just saying, which one is that? We need to add это. Что это за город? Что это за вопрос? What kind of a question is that? Okay, so I will stop here and very quickly about это and это. So here again we see это as in this is, and we pronounce it, as I said, as это. But here we have это as this that goes with feminine, pronounced exactly the same. The difference is that here это is, once again, it has to be it is, this is, that is, these are, those are, rather than this and a noun. So, for example, here we have это их новый компьютер. This is their new computer. While here we have этот парк. This park is a beautiful spot. We don't say this is a beautiful spot, or this is a park. It's like this park, this computer, this car. So that's a little bit different. Okay, and again, I think I have a separate video about that already on my channel. If not, I definitely will. Okay, we will stop here. And remember, when we worked with these contexts, your homework was to come up with a sentence in English and put the word that will be, in the case that we're working with, in this case, nominative, in caps into comments. And basically back then we stayed in English, but right now I think you are ready to already put the Russian sentences into the comments, work through them, try to think about different contexts for all the other nouns that are not the subject. Look up the verbs if you're not that familiar with the verb form yet, with the verb forms yet, and I will give you my feedback. And the second part is, again, work ahead. Take a look at the examples and the context for the genitive case, so we hit the ground running next time when we work with the genitive case in our videos. Okay, keep learning Russian. Пока-пока.